Hello, welcome back if you are new. I'm Emma and today I am taking you through a fresh start beginners Pilates. Now I have done part one, so if you haven't done that, I'm going to leave a link above me and down in the description. So I do highly recommend checking that out first because it leads on almost from that one. But other than that, otherwise, grab yourself a mat, a little bit of space, maybe a cushion, a block, whatever you may need, a blanket, and yeah, let's get ready to go. So, we will start as we started the part one, and we'll bring ourselves down onto our back and find good posture. So I'm going to have a block behind my head because I am really tight through my upper body and that helps. So if you find that you've got quite a big arch through the back of the neck and your head falls quite far back and it's really hard for you to lengthen it out and your shoulders are lifting up away from the mat, then try a pillow, a cushion or a block behind your head. A thick book will do as well. But yeah, let's rest down on our back and we'll have the back of the head, the back of the shoulders, the back of the pelvis and the soles of the feet on the floor. And the feet are about hip distance apart again, not too close, not too far away, just nice comfortable distance. And I just want you to find a little gap between the back of the neck and your lower back. So remember that tiny gap is a nice neutral spine. And we just want to find that. Of course, remember, you can imprint your spine and have it flat, and that's safe too. But we don't want any extreme arching. So if you can find that neutral, then great. So from here, maybe have a little rock of the pelvis, back and forth, side to side. Again, we worked on more of this last time. But just find where your hip bones are nice and level. So we're not rocking one way more than the other. And I want you to imagine you got your lovely cups of tea, your coffee balanced on your hips, so you're nice and steady. And maybe you can feel the heat of those cups of tea on your hip bones. And I just want you to start to let one leg slowly, open out to the side, or one knee, and roll onto the outside of your foot, and then pull back in. And then go to the other side. We'll let the left knee open. So we roll onto the outside of our left foot. And as you do that, the pelvis isn't moving. Those cups of tea are staying nice and balanced. Please don't put an actual cup of tea. I mean, try it with something really soft or something that's not going to break or do any harm. But yeah, you can imagine your cups of tea, and as you open from one leg to the other, you're seeing if you can keep your pelvis nice and steady, which is harder than it looks, really. And you try not to let the rest of the body tense up. You try not to let the rest of the body move. And then just find somewhere in the middle. Good, so your legs are nice and in line. Try to keep your pelvis there. And then maybe reach the arms above the head, have the palms facing in towards one another. And imagine someone's pulling your fingers up to the ceiling, your shoulder blades round off of the mat. And then slowly squeeze them together, pressing them towards the mat. So you've got those two opposites. You round your shoulders all the way up as someone pulls your fingertips towards the ceiling. And then you squeeze them together. And you really feel them drawing in. And then find somewhere in the middle. Good. Shoulders are nice and stable. Pelvis is nice and in line. Let's start to breathe. So we'll take a deep, well, hopefully you was breathing, but let's come into our Pilates breathing. So we'll take a deep breath in through the nose. And remember, in Pilates, we're breathing into our rib cage so that we can keep a strong center. So as we breathe in, fill out the sides and the back of your rib cage. And then as you breathe out, draw your belly button in and start to feel that lovely belt around your waist. And as you breathe in again and breathe out, we keep that sense of a belt. And if you find you lose this, that's okay, just breathe. The most important thing is to breathe regularly, and it'll come with time. Good, now everything's set up, let's start to move. So we're going to start to reach the arms back up above our head, palms facing away. And remember, the shoulders aren't rounding off, but they're not squeezing back either, they're in the middle. And we're going to take both arms back. We did this last time, but I just want to check, see how you're going with it. Maybe it starts to feel a little bit easier now. And as you take the arms back behind you, so the back of the hands goes to the floor behind you, you try not to flare your rib cage or lift your shoulders or your lower back. And then you bring your arms back above your chest towards the ceiling. And then maybe try one arm at a time. And let's start to add those legs in that we did last week. So we're going to reach the opposite arm to leg nice and long. Maybe you keep the heel and the leg on the floor, maybe it hovers, and then we pull back in. And then we go on the other side. So imagine you're holding a bar of weights above your head. So as you take one arm back, you always want to keep the other arm holding the weights above your head so it don't fall. And at the same time, you're sliding the other leg nice and long the opposite side. And you've got to try not to let the hips move. The pelvis is nice and steady like we've been practicing. The rib cage isn't flaring. Good. I'm going to add a little bit more this week. So when you're ready, we're going to reach opposite arm to leg back nice and long. And then see, can you take the arm and leg out to the outer corners of the mat without tipping? Draw back in to center and then bring the arm and leg back in. Yeah, we're going to go on the other side. We reach opposite arm to leg nice and long. We take them to the corners of the mat. We draw back to center. And then we come back in. Let's do that one more time each side. So the other arm, the other leg doesn't move. We reach the opposite arm to leg nice and long. We take them out to the outer corners, so out away from the body. They draw back to center. And then they come back in. And then match up on your other side, reaching nice and long. Taking them out to the side. Drawing back to center. Coming back to our start. Good, and then slowly, let's let the hands fall back onto our hips. Good, so when you're ready this time, we're going to start to lift the legs away from the floor. So we're slowly starting to build up with each class. So a nice neutral spine so your back isn't arching. We're moving from the thigh and we're lifting the leg off of the floor. So the thigh, the knee is stacked on top of the hip. This is your tabletop, and the shin is parallel to the ceiling. And then let that leg drop down. I want you to imagine you're on ice. You don't want to break it. You don't want to slide. So you're nice and steady. Switch to the other leg. Now as you switch from right to left, again, we're trying to keep the hips as steady as possible. And remember, you're moving from your thigh bone. So try to avoid, especially as we come down, just unfolding from the bottom part of the leg. Really think about the thigh bone. And this takes a lot more concentration and work than it first seems. Good. It's like your leg is in a cast and it can't bend or straighten, it's stuck in this right angle. Good, and lower down. Let's match up on the other side. Back of the head and the shoulders are still pressing into the mat. Good, and lower down. Good, squeeze the legs together. Take the arms out to the side, reach them nice and long, and press the back of the hands into the mat. You're melting into warm sand. Feel the inner thighs really zipping together, and as we're going to let our pelvis tip, and as we do that, let the legs follow and roll onto the outside of your foot. If you've gone to the right, we're rolling onto the outside of the right foot, and then we draw back in and we go to the other side. So I want your hip bones to lead so that you don't get this zigzag through the legs. I want your legs, your knees to stay together, and the feet. And as we tip from side to side, I want you to feel the opposite side of the body, the opposite rib cage, the opposite arm, anchoring you back down to the mat. So we're getting this lovely rotation, but we're still keeping that lovely control. We're not letting the upper body leave the mat. We are not peeling the shoulders off. and come back to center. Lovely. When you're ready, hands are going to go on your hips and you're going to step your feet in a little bit closer. So the legs are about hip distance apart again. I'm going to take the block away for this one. And we're slowly going to flatten our back into the mat. Actually, you can use the block for this one. It's when we roll up a bit more. And we're going to flatten the back into the mat and draw the belly button in. As you do that, I really want you to breathe. Make sure the shoulders don't peel off of the mat. And then release back to neutral. So we'll try that again. We're going to roll our hips in towards us, flatten our back, feel the lower back lengthening, the shoulders on the mat. And when you want to feel these deep abdominals working, as you do that, try not to clench through the glutes. And then we're going to release back down. We're going to do that a couple more times. We're going to roll the pelvis in, flatten the back, and we'll see if we can hold it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Back to our natural curve, and then we go one last time. We're going to roll the pelvis in, we're going to flatten it back, and we're just going to hold it again. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and release. And in the next class we're going to start to roll up a little bit more, but we're going to leave it there for the moment, and we're going to roll onto our front. So I'm not going to do any twisting seated today because we just did some twisting down on the mat, and I want to bring you straight over, and I'm going to face the other way because I will end up kicking the plant, but last little bit I want you to roll over onto your hands and knees, and you may want to be up on the fist or add extra padding if anything doesn't feel comfortable, but if you can, just like we did last week, we're going to have our hands spread nice and wide underneath our shoulders. Knees hip distance apart underneath our hips, and our toes are untucked. We're going to take a big cat stretch. So we're going to round the spine all the way up, tucking the tailbone and the head under, creating this lovely tunnel. And then we're going to go the opposite way. We're going to find this length. Now remember, it's not sinking into your back. It's more about lengthening the chest and the tailbone up. And then we just go back the other way. And then maybe you want to go from side to side like we did last time in our last class, until you find where your back is somewhere in the middle. So you've got a nice flat back and the pelvis is nice and steady as well. So when you're ready, we're going to add on a little bit more from what we did last time. So we're going to take our right leg out nice and long, reach it as long as it can go. Try not to let the pelvis move. This time though, we're going to see if we can lift the leg up to about hip level. We're going to tap it back in, and then we draw the leg back in, and then we go to the other side. So this week we're reaching nice and long. Maybe we want to stay here and draw straight back in. Otherwise we're going to lift the leg up without sinking into the back. So really important here, we keep that flat back. We tap the leg in and we draw back in, and then we go to the other side. We reach, and then we lift the leg up. We tap back down and we draw back in, and then we go to the other side. We're going to reach out nice and long. We're going to lift the leg up. We're going to tap it down, and then we draw back in. Maybe we can add a little bit more. So maybe we lengthen the leg, we lift it up, and then we try reach the opposite arm nice and long up to shoulder height, and try to find our balance. Place the hand back down to the floor underneath the shoulder, tap the foot nice and long back down to the floor, and then draw it in. Then we go on the other side. We reach nice and long. We lift it up maybe. We reach the opposite arm nice and long out to shoulder height. We place it back down to the floor. We tap the leg to the floor. We draw back in. Let's do one more time on the other side. Reach long. You've got a tray of food and drink on your back. Maybe we lift the leg. Maybe we reach the opposite arm. Find your balance. Place the hand back down to the floor. Reach the leg long, draw it in. One more time on the other side. We reach nice and long. We lift it up. We pull those abdominals in. We reach the opposite arm nice and long. We tap it back down to the floor. We bring the leg down and we bring it in. And then bring your feet together, knees open and stretch all the way back. So we're sitting back towards the heels, are stretching the arms nice and long, and we breathe. Good. When you're ready, squeeze the legs together for me, tuck the toes under, and bring yourself into this little crouch where you can rock on and off of the toes, give them a little stretch. I'm going to move forward on my mat again. And then you're going to hug your knees right in, push the heels down towards the floor as you walk your hands just by the side of your feet, and you're going to straighten your legs up. Find your feet nice and parallel and reach over those legs. Bend your knees if you need to, lift your head higher than your heart if you need to. And then slowly, bone by bone, roll all the way up through the spine, bit by bit, until you're standing nice and tall. So we're going to do that just a couple more times. I'm going to face the front. We lift tall. We nod the chin to the chest, and we slowly imagine peeling down off of that sticky wall. You anchor your tailbone down towards your heels until you can't anymore, and then it slides up that imaginary wall as we go up and over the legs towards the feet. Maybe bend the knees, and then slowly roll back up. Send that tailbone back towards the heels when you can. Keep the pelvis where it is as you restack the rest of the spine all the way up. And we go one more time, we roll down. We go up and over the legs. We let the hands reach down towards the floor if we can. Tailbone slides up. And then we slowly roll all the way back up, bone by bone, until we're standing nice and tall. And we are done for part 2. So I hope you feel like you're starting to get the hang of it, and it's developing a little bit more. You're feeling a little bit stronger and mainly just more aware of the body. That's the main thing as well. But yeah, I think I'm going to do 2 more parts of this. So look out for part 3 and 4. So do hit the bell button and subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss it. And I'll see you for the next one. Take care. Bye.